Okay, hi. Whoops. Someone's going to have to edit that out. Now that my phone is in its stand, I'm going to read you this. And then I'm going to get out of here. First of all, I want you to believe in yourself. If you've lost belief in yourself, it's time to believe in God, in Jesus. So take that interior self-hatred and disbelief and sin and just, flabbergast whatever God the gasted thing, and you're human, okay? So everything is forgivable, okay? And you will heal. Okay, here we go. This is so cool. It's called Being with Trees. Awaken your senses to the wonders of nature. This book was written by Hannah Fries. The foreword was written by Robin Wall, Kimmerer. Foreword by Robin, I already said that. Author of Braiding Sweetgrass. It's about poetry, reflections, and inspiration. And it is a beautiful book. Look, I was gifted this by a very special person who is trying to help me to heal. Okay, so the inside cover, there's a little flap here. I'm going to skip this. I hope that you get this book and that you can read it, but it's super nifty, super cute. This is actually the very, very first page, which, being that it's October now, behind me, you can see trees are changing. Being with trees. Trees. Being with trees. Awaken your senses to the wonders of nature by Hannah Fries. How cute is this? These are all the credits. Here's her dedication page, folks. This is a perfect book for me to illustrate to you how you can indeed create your own book. Dedication to my parents. Dendrophilites. Both dendrophilites. Sorry, I actually thought the page was frozen. I was having a mime moment. Okay, here we go. It is not so much for its beauty that the forest makes a claim upon men's hearts as for that subtle something, that quality of air that, I'm only going to spell the words that I can't pronounce, emantus, emantats, from old trees, that so wonderfully changes and renews a weary spirit. That poem is by Robert Louis Stevenson. Breathe. Connect. Heal. Give thanks. So, what a cute and clever. This is her table of contents. This is the page. And now I'm going to read the foreword. Okay? We're going to put it here so it's a little bit more natural. Robin Wall Kimmerer, author of Braiding Sweetgrass. My daily calendar is filled with appointments and classes, and if I were so inclined, I could calculate the number of lifetime hours I have spent in meetings, or on a conference call, or answering email. I most empathetically do not want to know that number, which would only make me cringe and send me wailing out the door. The tally I really care about is how many cumulative months I have spent in the company of trees. I believe the number would be totaling, years, hopefully decades, that I have spent botanizing, birding, hiking, camping, picking berries, digging medicine, gathering firewood, teaching, doing science, or working towards some other purposeful woodland pursuit. Often during these outdoor activities, I am interrupted by imperative of more important tasks, like sitting on a stone wall, watching the clouds, or balsamiferious. Sorry, Mom, I know you probably know how to spell that. I don't. Afternoon, balsam is the first word. Balsamiferious. Here you go. It's right here. Afternoon spending, like sitting on a stone wall, watching clouds, or a balsamy afternoon spent by lying on my stomach in deep pine needles, listening for centipede footfalls on the moss carpet. As it turns out, I have spent a lifetime engaging a moss carpet. Really? Okay. Sorry. Let's try again. As it turns out, I have spent a lifetime of engaging in forest therapy, all the while thinking I was just playing in the woods, my mother endlessly emptying my pockets of stones, seed pods, despairing of my muddy knees, elbows, which I still sport as a grandmother. I would be relieved to know that what she called daydreaming in the woods is what some now call forest bathing, though I never came home clean. This reminds me of, and it's going to come, right? Ralph. This is for all of you junior high and high school kids that struggle with not just names of old people that have been gone for a long time that are legendary to adults, but who have trouble reading and staying focused. Okay, here we go. What was once as natural as breathing, to be in the presence of trees and birds and that elegant walking stick insect masquerading as a twig, has vanished from many lives. Today, most of us live in cities, and the hours in front of a screen vastly surpass the hours beneath the leaves. How many miles do we walk without our feet ever touching the softness of the forest floor? What green spaces we do have are often manicured playgrounds shaped to our will. We have, in the schools, you can't take your shoes off. You never take your shoes off on the playground, especially go barefoot. Okay, what green spaces we do have often are manicured, blah, blah, blah. We have constructed barriers around our lives, sealed in plastic wrap, as if insulating ourselves from the living, breathing, gorgeous, teeming world. I'm trying to see if you can get my trees in the background. Okay. Being with Trees is an invitation from Hannah Fries. It's a terrible angle, isn't it? I'm trying to be everything, right? My producer and write this story. Yeah, it's not a tripod. All right, guess what? We're going to move this over here and see. Oh, I know. Trees. I don't know. Can you see that? This production sucks. All right, here we go. Being with Trees is an invitation from Hannah Fries to become more permeable to the natural world around you. Deep therapeutic benefits, both physical and spiritual, come of being in the company of trees. A renewed awareness of these benefits led to the creation of the term forest bathing. I also encourage people to bathe in scripture. So if you can't sleep, turn on the Psalms or something and abide and listen to the Bible. Okay, here we go. I don't really recommend going and sleeping in your backyard. I guess you could. I've done that in the middle of the night in the summer. A translation of the Japanese term, Shinrin Yoku. Shinrin Yoku. I don't know how to say it. Forest bathing. Shinrin yoko. Shinrin yoku. Shinrin yoku. Forest bathing. You can try it. Was coined in the 1980s as a form of forest therapy to treat the many ailments which arise from urban life. Calendars full of stress, pavement beneath the feet, and I can attest to its soul-filling qualities. And I, Jaimie Thor, can attest to the soul-robbing qualities of corporate life and a stressed-out schedule. Right, moms? Okay, here we go. There is a vibrant reciprocity between the leaves of the birds and seemingly silent trunks, warm-blooded humans sitting on a log, an exchange of mutual knowing that we are made lonely without. Like the health-giving benefits of bathing in mineral springs that spawned an era of taking the waters in resorts, clinics, forest bathing. It's a sensory immersion in green light, birdsong, and the leaves that bather renews themselves. I'm changing your sentence here, darling. Okay. Like the health-giving benefits of bathing in mineral springs that spawned an era of taking the waters in resorts and clinics, forest bathing, it is a sensory immersion in the green light and bird song that leaves the bather renewed and clean. I am blessed to have spent a life in the woods, but if the woods are out of reach, you can saunter through the pages here. This handsome volume invites you to be fully intentional, not walk through the woods in order to get somewhere, but with the sole purpose of being fully present to yourself, to the lives around you. In sections labeled Breathe, Connect, Heal, and Give Thanks. Fries invites a deeper connection to the natural world. Okay, I'm going to pause because there's another whole paragraph and it's kind of long, but the person that gave me this book told me there's not very far from me, okay, first off, I know downtown in Toledo at the library on the green space on the roof that they have books like this. There's an actual park in Michigan where this book is. You can purchase it, but you can actually go for the walk. And so I want you to keep that in mind. Back to the paragraph. Like the skilled and graceful editor she is, Fries has curated a collection, such a fancy word, of literary prose and poetry and evocative forest images that invite you to slow down, connect deeply with each sense fully tuned into the tone of the forest. She takes your hand and guides you down a winding path of wonder that offers peace and companionship of the forest world. Like the dendrophili, whatever that word is, she is. That's so fancy. That's like grad school level word. Like that dendrolite or whatever the word is. I'll have to look that one up. She has chosen words and images that play together like sunflecks through a treetop. Like the gifted poet she is, she bestows delicious words that we didn't know we needed, offering prescriptions for minimum daily requirement of PSITHURISM. I think it just means being still. A rich drought of PETRICHOR, which means luxury, maybe? I don't know. Petrich or. And soothing medicine of, this is probably Japanese, komoribi, KOMOREBI, komoribi. I don't know. You will find lighter at the end of your walk. Oh, you will find you are lighter. No, you will feel lighter at the end of your walk with Hannah Fries. Okay, here we go. Okay, we can do cut, and then, or we can cut right here, or you can continue on, because those of you that are watching me on the YouTube realize that we're starting the story. In the company of trees, Rustling leaves, creaking trunks, the green smell of the earth after a light rain, sunlight falling through the lacework of leaves. Just reading a description of being in the forest might make you pause, take a deep breath, feel the soft edge of peace that comes from spending time outdoors. You remember the feeling. Perhaps it's been a while, or perhaps just yesterday you gave yourself a few minutes on a mossy rock. Either way, it tugs at you, asks you to return. Being in the woods doesn't just feel good, but it is, in fact, good for you. If you've ever spent time in the forest yourself, you probably don't need a scientist to tell you this. Having grown up, exploring the woods and climbing the trees of New Hampshire, the idea seems, well, natural to me. My first climbing trees, the crab apple in our front yard and the red maple in our backyard, were like old friends. Depending on my mood, they offered comfort, exhilaration, or peace. Hand in hand with my love for the woods came my love for literature about the natural world. People have been going to nature for solace and healing for a very long time, and they have been putting words to that relationship for maybe just as long. And it's not only the woods they turn to. Of course, some go to the desert, some to the sea, some to the wide sweep of a prairie. Who's to say why our spirits feel at home in a certain place? This book, however, for those of us who love being with trees, you will find the writings here from Native American tradition, Japanese haiku masters, the romantics of the 19th century Europe, American transcendentalists, voices of the modern environmental movement, and others, plus more. That's my edit. You will find the famous American walker Henry David Thoreau, who frequently tramped 8 or 10 miles through the deeper snow to keep an appointment with a beech tree or a yellow birch or an old acquaintance among the pines. Like many school children, I read the work of Thoreau, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and Walt Whitman when I was about 15. Perhaps, unlike most school children, however, I felt an intense connection with the American transcendentalists we were learning about. I recognized the urge to run to the woods to escape society for comfort when I felt low. I remember feeling rather pleased with myself for hauling my reading as high as I could to a nook in the red maple tree so I could absorb it in the appropriate context. Now, as a poet, I find inspiration not only in the beauty of nature, but also in the fascinating revelations of science and the mysteries science has yet to, and in some cases may never unravel. This book, that's quantum thinking. It's like big. All right, I'm taking the, I gotta move. So you're gonna have to breathe because I'm feeling super restless. I got my bomber on, gotta go outside, get some fresh air. I thought I would be further along. This is 20 minutes in and I haven't even really started the picture part of the book. So we're going outside by the tree. All right. I'm presuming this is better. Let me see if I move this way over here. That helps. Doesn't give you the tree though. I'm using, there we go. I'm just propping my phone up on just a regular glass. Okay, here we go. When you go out to be with trees, whether in the woods or favorite park, try choosing a pace that gives you time to appreciate the small things. like a caterpillar crawling across a leaf or the unique scent of a pine forest. Time to let your mind relax and your senses slowly open to greater awareness. Think of the way your eyes, while stargazing, become gradually accustomed to the dark. More stars revealing themselves by the moment, by the minute, by the hour. Attention is the beginning of devotion, wrote beloved nature poet Mary Oliver, a practice out of which grows reverence, yes, but also healing and connection. As Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, in the woods we return to the reason and to faith. You will find in this book a myriad of variations on these sentiments, from ancient to modern, from religious to scientific. Only relatively recently in evolutionary history have so many of us humans lived largely indoors. Is it any wonder that our bodies, minds, and souls crave the outdoors? May the readings in this book draw you to the woods, remind you of the sensory experiences that you encounter, and encourage you to find your own wholeness and wildness. That just totally makes me laugh. Amongst the trees. Thank you, Hannah Fries, because I'm thinking about, like, I don't know, naked sunbathing in, Woodstock or something. Okay. Okay, so breathe. Beautiful page. This says, here you are. So at last you are, I've got all the words mixed up. Okay, here we go. So here you are at last among the trees. Whether you are in a city park, town, trail system, state forest, national park, or private woodland, whether the acreage you stand on is large or small, whether the trees are towering old giants or young upstarts, whether you can hear traffic nearby or not, whether you are with others or alone, whether it is hot or cold, rainy, sunny, snowy, whether you are in shape or not, whether you know anything about trees and wildlife or not, you are here. Pause. Before you enter the woods, before you take another step, take a moment to scan your body and your mind. Take a slow, deep breath. Then begin with your toes. Wiggle them. Feel the soles of your feet pressing against the ground or the inside of your soles to push down to the ground, or if you're barefoot, work your way up your body, letting your attention rest on the moment, or letting your attention rest a moment on each part of you, noting where you feel tightness, tension, stress. When you do, pause to take a few extra breaths. Imagine your muscles relaxing with each exhale. Unclench your hands. Bring your shoulders up to your ears. Let them drop. Imagine a weight dropping with them, falling down your arms and flowing right off of your fingertips. Next page. As the trees breathe out, you breathe in. As the trees breathe in, you breathe out. What sort of chatter is running through your head? Tell yourself you are going to focus on something else right now. For a moment, just listen to yourself bathe. Put your hand on your belly and begin your breath there. Feel your chest expand And contract. Visualize your lungs inside your rib cage, filling with fresh air. Your lungs are filling with the breath of trees. In some mysterious way, woods have never seemed to me to be static things. In physical terms, I move through them, yet in metaphysical ones, they seem to move through me. That poem is written by John Fowles. This is a beautiful page. Our next page is Open Up. Trees breathe in carbon dioxide and release oxygen and water vapor through tiny holes in their leaves called stoma, a word that comes from the Greek meaning mouth. On 1 square millimeter of a leaf, there are 100 to 1,000 of these little mouths all breathing. One mature tree breathes in 48 pounds of carbon dioxide each year, and the exhalations of 2 mature trees provide enough oxygen for you to breathe for more than a year. As you stand beneath the trees and breathe, imagine your own pores softening and opening. That's so beautiful. Making you more permeable to the to the natural world around you. All things share the same breath. The beast, the tree, the man, the air shares its spirit with all of life it supports. That is a quote from Chief Seattle. Next page. Okay, sit still. When you first enter the woods, it may seem still and silent, save for the birds or a few creatures who startle ahead of you, warning others of your presence. Enter the woods quietly on a posture of gratitude, and you will be less disruptive. Sit as still as you can in one place for a while, 20 minutes or so, and see how the forest begins slowly to go about its business again all around you. Okay, I'm going to point out these little beautiful mushrooms, but then over here, that guy, pretty clever, fox. Here we go. Next page. After you take your 20 minutes, why did the spring wood grow so silent when I came? What is happening? These are 2 questions by Richard Wright. Richard Wright, author of Native Son and Black Boy, wrote more than 4,000 haiku in the final 18 months of his life. With their strict syllable counts and evocative images of nature, these haiku, according to Wright's daughter Julia, were self-developed antidotes against illness. How sweet. I wonder if he realized he was doing strict syllable counts and evocative images. Well, he probably just was creating images, and I don't know, evocative they became just because of his battle with illness. Next page. Let's do this so you can look at this beautiful photograph of the trees. At his home in Hawaii, poet W.S. Merwin turned 19 acres of decimated land, formerly a pineapple plantation, into a lush palm forest, one hand planted seedlings at a time. one hand-planted seedling at a time. Now, can you tell I haven't read this before? Sorry. Now, the Merwin Palm collection has over 2,740 individual palm trees, representing more than 400 species. It is one of the largest palm collections on Earth, where once the wind moved over a wasteland, now it moves through a myriad of rustling palm fronds. In his poem, Place, Merwin writes, "On the last day of the world, I would want to plant a tree." Highland fronds. After sundown, the crowns of the tallest palms stand out against the clear glass of the eastern sky. They have no shadows, no memory. The wind has gone its own way. Nothing is missing. Wow. So this has to be from Japan, because, wait, no. It has to be below the equator. In the east, in Japan, the sun rises. It still rises in the east, doesn't it? I don't know. I would have to check that. I think it might not. According to this, it would be setting. Is that true? My Australian and Japanese cohorts, you're going to have to talk to me about this. I know the toilet goes the other way when you get below the equator, but anyway, this next is so cute. It's like moccasins, and then it says, "Step softly." Oh, I want to go to Vietnam. Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh teaches walking meditation, an intentional way of being mindful and present as you walk. Focus on your breath and repeat a phrase in your mind. You can choose your own words or images to focus on as you walk. Perhaps you breathe in and think of being rooted like a tree breathe out and think of being light, like a leaf in the wind. Breathe in and think, "I am solid." Breathe out and think, "I am free." With each step, the earth heals us. And with each step, we heal the earth. Now, this was a line from Thich Nhat Hanh. Deer Park Monastery is a mindfulness practice center and monastic training center established by Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. Surrounded by oak trees, the monastery is located on a 400-acre preserve in the Chaparral Mountains of Southern California. Oh, I want to go. I actually know somebody that has a wild horse ranch there in Joshua Tree. Okay, never mind. Right is the excerpt from Tess Gallagher's poem, Walking Meditation with Thich Nhat Hanh. 50 of us follow him closely up the mountain in Deer Park Monastery. We are in the slow motion of a dream, lifting off the dreamer's brow, steps into steps, and the body rising out of them like smoke from a fire with many legs. Gradually the flames die down and the earth is finally under us. Inside the mountain, a centipede crawls into no up, no down. That poem was written by Tess Gallagher. Next page. Turn to the wind. I wish I could grab my publisher book that has my hair like I'm standing like with the wind blowing. My son took this picture when I was standing on the cliffs of Moher in Ireland. Here we go. Turn now from your own breath, from the tree's breath, to the breath of the wind. You can actually hear it. The little puffs and eddies, heaving storms and flowing currents that move the ocean of our atmosphere. What does the wind carry with it today? A change in the weather, a bit of sweetness, a wet chill, a puff of cottonwood seed, a swirl of dust, laughter from a nearby playground. I love the laughter from my nearby playground. That's where my kids went to school, at Highland Elementary in Sylvania, Ohio, which is a city of trees. Here we go. This is a big word that I can't pronounce, so take a deep breath. I'm going to spell it. P-S-I-T-H-U-R-I-S-M. You remember that bird? The sound of wind in the trees and rustling of leaves. Now I don't know how to pronounce it. Citharism. I'm gonna call it citharism because the P is probably silent. Citharism. How have you been shaped by the place where you live? The trees are tickled and played by the wind, buffeting and broken, uprooted by the wind, even shaped by the wind. In exposed, blustery places such as a rocky mountaintop and seashores, you may be able to tell the direction the wind usually blows by looking at the trees, especially the conifers. Their branches look like they are streaming in one direction, downwind. This is called flagging. Next page. We are in the depths of a very green forest. It's got to be beautiful. The air, when I was in the Alps, the air was so fresh. I made a fool of myself. We were in this gondola going in Switzerland up to the top of, we were at Lake Lucerne, so might have been Lucerne. Anyway, I don't know if that's a proper mountain, but we were at Lake Lucerne, and there was a Russian gentleman and a gal that, she wasn't Russian, but she was traveling with him, and then my boyfriend and me, and I was just taking in the smell. And then I started looking around, and they were like, what are you looking for? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I could smell how fresh the trees were, and I was like, I feel like I should be, like, suddenly I smelled the change. I was looking for an air freshener or some sort. I detected the waft, right? The freshness of the green mountains and the evergreens, and it was just beautiful. Anyway, they all laughed at me. Okay, here we go. Wild Air. I'm going to read the poem first. And the poem is by Gerard. It's either Gerard, Gerard, G-E-R-A-R-D, Gerard Manley Hopkins. Wild air, world mothering air, nestling me everywhere, that each eyelash or hair girdles goes home betwixt the fleeciest, frailest, flixt snowflake that's fairly mixed with riddles, and is rife in every least thing's life. This needful, never spent, and nursing element, my more than meat and drink, my meal at every wink, this air, which, by life's law, my lung must draw and draw, now but to breathe, is its praise. By Gerard Manley Hopkins. Gerard Manley Hopkins was one of the greatest poets of the Victorian era. Though he was a Jesuit priest, he is known as nature writer as much as a religious writer. His keen observations of the natural world are brought to life in language so rich and textured that his poems leaped into both physical and spiritual ecstasy. Here he is on Intimacy of Air. Should I read it again? I'm not gonna. Here we go. The next is, looks like, I don't know. I kind of feel like it might be an olive tree. We'll see. Such trees, such people too, have stories to tell. On mountaintops and subarctic landscapes, trees that endure the cold, fierce winds become gnarled and stunted. These scrubby survivors are called Krummholz. In German, Krummholz means crooked, bent, twisted. Krummholz. And though they are small, they may also be quite ancient. That's kind of how I feel, actually. Rock bottom trees, right? Like the winds keep me like close to the ground. Krummholz. Here we go. The next page. Oh, this has it. So this actually incorporates, and I do not know how to read music, but I'll pretend. So this is for my B instrumental people, founders and board members and kiddos who get support from them. My daughter, my sons. All right, here we go. So just allow me to just observe the music here. So I do not know how to read the music, but on this blue, and it's quite dark, I would say navy blue page, maybe midnight blue, with a evergreen tree. There are music. It's like the flute, the clarinet in B, and I don't know what the little B, so it might be B minor, the bassoon, bassoon 1, bassoon 2, and then trumpet. Oh my gosh, I could like teach kids from this if I only knew how to teach music. Okay, so here we go. So I could take this and maybe challenge my students when I do music substitute teaching, if they could read that music. Anyways, probably only junior high and high schoolers, maybe an elementary kid. I don't know. Music is just code, you guys. Okay, here we go. The music excerpt is from Krummholz Variations, a musical tone poem for flute. Oh, I don't think I knew that this existed. Hang on, I'm having a moment. This musical excerpt is from Krummholz Variations, a musical tone poem for flute, clarinet, 2 bassoons, 2 trumpets, and 2 trombones. Twisted Krummholz served as gateways to the Alpine zone and as mountaintop sentinels. I don't know that word, you guys. I treasure them for their unique deformities. High altitude landscapes are a paradigm for beauty in the face of harshness. Well, that's me. So I guess I could be a tree that's been blown by the wind, or a tree that is in high altitude. High altitude landscapes are a paradigm for beauty in the face of harshness. When times are tough, I find hope in moments of joy and serenity that blossom amidst extremes. They remind me of the human spirit and our great capacity for resilience. A new possibility in every breath. Oliver Kaplan, a composer. That is very beautiful. Here we go. We are on page 52. Next. Oh, is that gorgeous? Okay. So, naturalist, conservationist, and writer John Muir, 1838 to 1914, was an early and passionate voice in the movement to preserve wilderness in the United States. Often called the father of national parks, Muir, co-founder of the Sierra Club, and petitioned Congress for a bill that resulted in the creation of Yosemite National Park. As a writer, he has deeply influenced the way Americans see their wild lands. He advised, keep close to nature's heart and break clear away once in a while. Climb a mountain or spend a week in the woods. Wash your clean spirit. The winds go to every tree, fingering every leaf and branch and furrowed bole. Not one is forgotten. The mountain pine towering with outstretched arms on the rugged buttress of the icy peaks, the lowliest and the most retiring tenant of the dells. They seek and find them all, caressing them tenderly, bending them in lusty exercise, stimulating their growth, plucking off a leaf or a limb as required, or removing an entire tree grove, now whispering and cooing through the branches like a sleepy child, now roaring like the ocean. John Muir. Here we go. It was the wind that gave life. It is the wind that comes out of our mouths now that gives us life. Yahweh. When this ceases to blow, we die. In the skin, at the tips of our fingers, we see the trail of the wind. It shows us the wind blew when our ancestors were created. This is a Navajo legend, and it was recorded by Washington Matthews. I'm going to show you this tree again because I grew up in Minnesota, and so I've seen trees affected by blizzard winds such as this one. Gorgeous. Who knew whites, grays, and blacks could be so gorgeous in nature? This had to have been taken, if it hasn't been, if there's been no filtering and no adjusting to this, this had to have been taken probably when the light of the day was, maybe early morning, maybe just near sundown. I don't know. Anyway, there's no sky. It's all gray. Anyway, the wind has been revered as sacred for centuries and across many cultures, from Native Americans to the ancient Greek. In Greek, the words breath, wind, and spirit are all the same. Pneuma. P-N-E-U-M-A. Can you say pneuma? And I want you to close your eyes and think of the word pneumonia, because pneumonia, yeah, you can see the overlap, right? It means pneumonia is disease of the lungs, but still, pneuma is the root of that word, the Greek root, incidentally. And in Hebrew, the word for all three is the same also. Ah, nice. So in the Bible, you need to know Greek, Hebrew, and I think Aramaic, I think, maybe Arabic, but I think it's Aramaic because I think Arabic might be a derivative of Aramaic. Anyway, in Hebrew, the word for all three is R-A-U-C-H, Rauch. Rauch. It seems like it's German to me. Anyway, how beautiful is, look at just that, right? Like, when I was younger, I would have called that hieroglyphics, but now I know better. Could be calligraphy, right? I mean, beautiful meaning. Now, connect. The roots of a tree are a vast network, branching and rebranching, finding their way through the soil and around rocks, taking in nutrients, connecting the tree to the earth, to other trees, and to the various living things that reside in the darkness underground. Insects, bacteria, fungi, and burrowing creatures. Above ground, branches grow toward the light, crisscrossing the sky, bending in the wind. In ways completely foreign to us, trees sense the world around them, reacting and adapting to changes in their environment, and even communicating with each other. Okay, now we're getting into micro. I think that's got to be micro. Maybe that is macro, and that is satellite view. All right, here we go. In these maple and birch and beech, the branches reach out year after year, running skyward like the fingers of rivulets when water is poured on dry ground. Water is at the heart of their form. They have the shape of river systems seen from space, or veins of blood, or nerves standing there, buds swollen with a wash of deep red over them. They seem as lambent and as alive and as ready as anything on earth could be. That is written by Diana Capel Smith. Next, reach out. This is a gorgeous photograph. I love this. I love this notion. This is actually, I want you to look at this closely while I pause, because we are only 63 pages in, right? And there is more to this book than I realized, insofar as I expected. Not so much language, but I love it. It's absolutely luxurious, gorgeous, wonderful, and I'm so grateful that it was given to me. But the picture here, for those of you who may be listening to my voice, has a, 4 seasons. So we're looking at a cherry blossom, or any kind of tree. Just close your eyes and imagine. It looks like a cherry blossom to me, but it could be a crabapple tree. I've seen pink, I think, crabapples. So that's the depiction of spring. Then the depiction of summer is below it, which I find very interesting, because I wanted to go from left to right, but that has to do with linguistics and the way that my reading naturally goes. Anyway, so we're talking 4 photographs: spring, summer, fall, winter. Spring is the top box. Okay, so if you just imagine 4 squares, close your eyes, imagine 4 squares inside a square. The top left square is a cherry blossom, and it's beautiful. It looks very Japanese. The second square, which is down, is a tremendous photograph of enormous roots, certainly from an ancient tree. Then the top right square, in a SWOT presentation for all you business nerds out there, this is like the top right hand corner. That is fall, and that is, like, I don't know, oftentimes ideal, right? Okay, and then that is an enormous tree. However, the branches, the low branches, actually rest on the ground, and it is losing its leaves. So the bed below the tree of grass is covered with orange leaves, and then the trees still have quite a few of their leaves. And so the trees that have, the leaves that are in the photograph are still green, but the wind must have come through because the orange dead leaves have already carpeted the ground, and they're not brown at all. It looks beautiful. And then finally is Christmas. Not Christmas, is winter. And so again, we're dealing with snow, probably a good, I don't know, at least, I'm going to say at least 4 inches, but potentially more. And really that photograph is of a tree that has many, many small branches and are thick with snow. And then there's a snow carpet, and it doesn't look like it's snowing in the photograph. Again, just like the one I referenced earlier. Very beautiful. Okay, page 63. Now that you have found your center, your own breath, and let the forest puff its green breath across your skin, it is time to turn further outward, to send out your tendrils and roots and search for connection. As you walk through the forest, feel your own body, react and respond, invite the forest in through your senses. All right, look, pretend like you've just been granted the gift of sight. Instead of looking at things, look for things. Play a game of noticing. Seek out small details that might otherwise escape your attention. Take delight in discovering. Now, this has 6 photographs, and I love it. So I will bring it up to the the camera in a moment. But the top square is reflections of a tree in water. And it says the play of light through the leaves or on the water. Oh, I love looking at reflections. And then the next one, if we were going down and following suit of how I described the previous image, is all orange and deeper orange square in the middle. It says the silhouette of a bird against the sky, and it looks to me like it's probably a hawk. And then this next one, so going up one and then over one to the right, is a square, and the background is patterns in bark, and that's what the words say in the square inside that square. Going down, we have, oh my gosh, it's the plant. It's mostly green, but the plant is. It reminds me of lamb's ear. The intricate shapes that ice makes. I actually took a photograph that resembles this recently, in the last recent years anyway. And then delicate plants growing close to the ground, very tender. I see clover. And it's an interesting angle. The photographer had to be like completely on the ground, because instead of photographing the clover from above, it's right down, as if the clovers maybe were at eye level, and then the background is blurry. It's quite beautiful. And then it looks like there's a leaf of a fern kind of sort of peeking in from the right hand side of what I'm looking at on the photograph. Very beautiful. So delicate plants growing close to the ground. And then finally, the bottom right-hand corner of this rectangle of 6 squares is bursts of lichen on rocks. So what we're looking at is lichen on rocks. So probably a form of fungi, mushrooms, the like. So I'm going to come close for those of you that would like to take a moment. And then we're going to go on. Thank you for staying with me, by the way. We are on page, well, it doesn't matter. And the reason I'm saying that is there's no page number, so we're not going to worry about it. This page is Japanese in nature, though, and it's Komaribi. Komaribi, Japanese, sunlight filtering through the leaves of trees. Absolutely gorgeous photograph where I think that the dots, the yellow bursts, might be reflections in the lens. And then the trees are very thin, white birchy, like. They may not be birch trees, but that's what it reminds me of. And it's very beautiful. But I think the reflection might be from, I think it's from a reflection in the lens. I don't think it's like flowers or anything, but it's quite beautiful because it seriously is. I experience that sometimes when I take photographs, but usually one or two only. Okay, here we go. We step from darkly clustered spruce into birch, pink and white, bark peeled into sunrise like slothed skin, and though it is raining, it is as if a shattered sun, golden leaves, falls in shards through the gray October sky, glow around us. And that is written by Hannah Fries. All right, and we're on page 69. This next page is beautiful too. It has 4 photographs with a green box in the middle, and over that green box is typed. So we have 3 layers, if you will. The text, listen. So for those of you who like the description, the 4 boxes do not depict the 4 seasons. We have 2 black and gray and white photographs, and we have 2 green, mostly green photographs. One has a bird taking flight from a tree, and the other is more micro, and it's of green leaves, perhaps maple. And then the other 2, I think that the top right hand corner, so I was describing the top left corner and the bottom right, but the top right hand corner may be a like satellite view. I don't know, but it's black and white, and it's kind of got swirlies on it, and it may just be a view from the satellites. I don't know. And then the bottom, we're looking at winter-ish. I don't see any snow, but winter-ish, black and white. Certainly, no, I think I do see snow, but certainly winter trees. There's none, no greenage, no foliage on any of it in the picture. So it's only white and gray and black. Very beautiful. Here we go. Get your other senses working now. Stop walking. Close your eyes and listen. You are not in a hurry. Do you hear rustling leaves? Or a creak of branches rubbing together? Birds? Scurrying animals? Trickling water? If it is very cold, you might hear popping sounds as trees sap freezes, creating frost cracks. As you listen, try to separate the layers of sound in your mind and then follow them to the source. Maybe it's sound waves. Listen. So we're dealing with summertime bird flying in the trees, taking flight. There's berries on that. And then perhaps, so I'm going to go top and then down, just the wintry skinny wood trees, everything vertical it seems. Well, not everything, but. And then the top right is, maybe it's sound waves. I still think it may be an aerial view. And then, as I mentioned, we're talking some sort of leaf, maybe a maple, maybe not. Very beautiful. Next page, the sound of trees. I wonder about the trees. Why do we wish to bear forever the noise of these? More than other noise. So close to our dwelling place, we suffer them by the day, till we lose all measure of pace and fixity in our joys, and acquire a listening ear. They are that talks of going, but never gets away. And that talks no less for knowing, as it grows wiser and older, that now means to stay. My feet tug at the floor, and my head sways to my shoulder. Sometimes when I watch trees sway from the window or the door, I shall set forth somewhere. I shall make the reckless choice some day when they are in voice, and tossing so as to scare the white clouds over them on. I shall have less to say, but I shall be gone. That poem is The Sound of Trees by none other than Robert Frost. Oh, let me see if I showed you. This is actually the only photograph on these 2 pages. And there's obviously the print. There's print. It's absolutely graphically gorgeous, but it's just kind of print design, but then there's like just a tiny, I wouldn't even constitute a bough, but just long pine needles, like the tip of a branch. Okay, next page. For those of you that are listening, this is a blurry photograph. The effect, I think, is a photograph. It could be a painting, actually, when I'm looking at it, but either way. Composer Jean Sibelius was deeply influenced by the natural world. His Op. 75 consists of 5 pieces named for trees in his native Finland: rowan, pine, aspen, birch, and spruce. Writing in the New Yorker, Alex Ross noted that instead of writing the music of his imagination, it's his last name, Sibelius, wanted to transcribe the very noise of nature. He thought that he could hear chords in the murmurs of the forests and the lapping of the lakes. He once baffled a group of Finnish students by giving a lecture on the overtone series of meadow. Beautiful. We're on page 73. Moving on. Oh, this is good color. So I love yellow. And this actually has a man walking, or maybe a woman, but it looks like a man to me. And this is smell. It says smell. So yellow, probably maybe buttercups. I don't know what kind of, I don't know. I don't know. These are maybe perhaps I would have to check. I don't know. It may be the branch of a bush, but anyway, bush with a blooming yellow, and then the light and the trees in the background are just gorgeous, but the person that's walking is pretty blurry. So it says, have you ever said that the air smells like fall or like spring? What are you smelling? Dry leaves? Honeysuckle? That's probably what it is. Thawing snow? Wet earth? Fresh green leaves? Get closer. Scratch a twig with your nail, smell the damp wood beneath. Crush a leaf of wintergreen and hold it to your nose. Beautiful. Next page. The smell of the earth after rain. The smell of earth after rain. This is that word that I didn't know earlier. It's if I'm breaking it into syllables, it's petrichor. Petrichor. I discovered a whole assortment of tree scents. On a hot summer day, the balsams, spruces, and pines acted like giant sticks of incense, giving off a redolence which filled the air inside and outside of the cabin. The carpet of the dead needles, the dry duft, the trickles of pitch, the sun-warmed bark itself, all gave off subtle odors. The live needles tinged the air with what old-time doctors called balsamic balsamifers, balsamifers. I have no idea. And La Bastille. And La Bastille. En français, mademoiselle. Okay. Oh, did I show you this? Very cute. So we have somebody jumping over a body of water with an orange hoodie on, and the photographer captured the leap, and there's a perfect reflection of both top and bottom. Very beautiful. Here we go. Next page, 79. Touch. Touch, touch. This is a good sensory. So here we have like frosted, so it must be one of the first frosts or frosted leaves. We have ferns. We have a woman holding a handful, or two, in both of her hands, I guess, tiny pine cones. And then we have the bark of a tree. So I hope that's good description. I'm going to turn the book up to the camera so those of you can judge me that have visual. All right, here we go. 79. The forest is full of textures, the soft fronds of ferns or mosses, the smooth bark of a birch or rough bark of a pine, an ice cold stream, a slick stone. What does the ground feel like beneath your feet? Hard and rocky? Soft and needle strewn? Perhaps you feel some mud suck at a shoe. Perhaps you take your shoes off and let your feet get in contact with the ground beneath them. Skin to earth. Get a little risky. Nature is nothing if it is not sensual. Next. Very beautiful for those of you who are watching me on YouTube. This is just a lovely photograph of it looks like a trail, like an old-fashioned, either a trail on a farm where a tractor has worn down the grass, and there might be maybe there's some gravel on there, but really the grass has grown up in the middle, and so you have the pathway going out down to the horizon, and then, you know, a large, beautiful branch swooping down. And then on the other page, we've got some gorgeous background from a graphic standpoint of trees, very muted. On that page, we have a frame around the poetry, and I don't know, a little songbird. Sparrow, maybe? Finch? I don't know. Here we go. Patton and Rogers. Patton and Rogers poetry is full of celebratory and sensual images of nature, buttressed by a deep knowledge of biology and natural history. This excerpt comes from her poem, Holy Heathen Rhapsody. What species of little bird does the poet, like a voyeur, watch as I don't like the word voyeur, sorry. I have a negative connotation. I lost my place. What species of a little bird does the poet, like a voyeur, watch as it makes its way over the tree? A brown creeper, perhaps, or a nuthatch. Summer lulls lingers in its own mazes. A white-limbed poplar leaf stalks peel of scented bark. Her body, seed, wing, or feathered down, thread silvers of silk, touches each curled love and creviced branch as she passes, slides underside, overside, along the ridges and furrows. Is that a tiny tongue finding the way? Love is this sun-holding tree of lapping leaves, delves canopies, a multi-tangled cover. Pat Tanan Rogers. So, oh, we're running out of battery, folks. Looks like I'm gonna have to stop. I don't know. I thought I'd be able to do this, but I gotta take a break. I'll come back. So, see, low power mode. Close that. And I will thank you very much for joining me. And I'm gonna take a break actually. So I will come back, perhaps with my, maybe here, maybe somewhere else. But we are on page 80. So thank you. I'm running out of battery. So bye.